you haven't been able to tell already by the video title, you join us on the banks of Mark Pitcher's Wainstones pool. Now there is 2 lakes on this particular complex if you like. There's Wainstone pool itself, which is the main lake, and there's Wood pool, which is what you join us on today. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to slip this £15 on the nose pretty much. So I'm going to slip this sort of little fella back, which is quite indicative of the fish and the stock and everything in this lake. But what we'll do is we'll slip him back, we'll talk about the fish, the pool itself, we'll talk about obviously the rig that I caught him on, the spots that I'm fishing, and everything, you know, that you want to find out about if you was coming to this venue and fish it for yourself. So yeah, because obviously we're in the heat of the summer now as well, you know, it's not sort of great practice to keep the fish out too long. So yeah, without further ado, I will shut up, we'll get her back, and we'll talk everything tactics. So whilst I've just slipped that fish back, obviously I've got everything set back up, I've got the rig and everything, so we might as well jump straight into it, talk everything about rigs, talk tactics, and obviously we'll jump over to the spots, talk about the spots, why I'm fishing there, and obviously how I managed to sort of lead to that capture. So yeah, basically first off I'll talk about the end tackle. I'm using probably about a foot there of sort of Signet tackle rig tubing, and the reason for that is there is actually a rule on Wainstones pool, or the actual main pool and the Wood pool, is that you have to use a minimum of 18 inches of rig tubing. Doesn't have to be Signet, but obviously I really like this new Signet stuff. You know, it's really supple, it hugs the lake bed, and I'm a massive fan of it. So yeah, I've got that there in wee green. Again, doesn't really matter, the water's quite coloured, so you know, I'm not too worried about the colour. But I mean, you can see there, it's just so supple and it just wants to sink all the time, so I'm really a big fan of that. That comes down to a Signet tackle leg clip. Again, fits tubing really nice, perfectly. The only difference here on this is obviously I've got that on a cog setup, and I'll explain that in a little moment after I talk about the rig that I'm fishing, because there is a reason why I'm fishing a cog and not really like a heli setup or something that, you know, I'm primarily used to. Now I do like cog sort of fishing, but I'll obviously explain why I'm doing that in a minute. So moving down to the business end, as ever I'm using my ever faithful fluorocarbon D-rig. Like I say in every one of my videos, if you've been a sort of avid watcher now of our channel, you'll know that I've been fishing with this rig everywhere I've been, whether it's been in France or in England, and it never lets me down.
Have they seen it in the water? Have they actually tested it in the water and seen how it sats? Nah.
I'm pretty
Not
sure
nah. They haven't.
So that's a lot of people use that rig and catch lots of fish. There'll be people screaming down the telly at the moment, being like,
Well, they need to go and
wimp.
They need to go and check the rigs.
The components are exactly the same. I tend to use either a small or a large, whatever I've got, to be honest. It doesn't really matter, because the material is quite stiff anyway. It doesn't matter too much about the length of the anti-tangle sleeve. But I'm using a large one on there, just for a figure 8 loop knot at the top. Coming down, I've got a blob of Signet tackle rig putty, and then that comes down to a Signet tackle shoddy hook. The most important thing about this rig is, if you want to construct your own, is it has to be with an outturned eye, and that's just because of the way that the rig mechanics work and that stiff material, because basically you don't want it to close the gap too much, so you want it to be quite open. So as long as you use an outturned eye hook, like I said, a shoddy pattern, you can't really go wrong with this, to be honest. I've got the Signet bait screw, dead easy to swap the baits over, literally screw it on, screw it off. And what I found for this particular session, and I'll talk about the baiting strategy soon, but basically I've just got a manila dumbbell wafter, not glugged, nothing in it, just straight out of the sort of tub, and obviously screwed it straight on. And the reason for that is I'm fishing manila boilers at the moment. It is in the summer, and I could argue that I could use krill, but I've been doing quite well on the manila this year, so obviously I've decided to stick with the manila for that theme, and obviously it has worked for me this time. So yeah, basically I'm fishing the manila boilers. I've put quite a sort of couple of handfuls out, and then obviously I'll talk about the spot in a moment. In fact, I'll talk about the spot now, so we'll go over there in a minute and talk a bit more in detail, but I'm actually dropping the rig. So what I'm actually doing is I'm using the Signet PVA mesh, tying a few mesh bags of sort of pellets as well, because obviously these fish are new fish, it's a new pool, they'll have been reared on pellets, they like pellets. So all I've been doing with the dumbbell wafter is, if I hook on the PVA mesh bag, obviously the manila wafter as well, it kind of mimics the sort of other free boilers that are around in the area, drop the rig in, and then obviously I've got everything ready to go. And obviously that is proving the case, because I've managed to catch a fish within a couple of hours. So yeah, what we'll do now is we'll cut over to the other side, I'll explain the spot that I'm fishing, and get this rod back out on the dance floor, and then we'll talk a bit more about the pool itself. Right, well I hope you can hear me from over there, or let alone see me and hear me, to be honest. But yeah, basically this is the spot that I'm fishing. It's a very small intimate pool, and there's only 2 swims on it, and I've managed to get the right hand side. So, and the reason I say that is because on this right hand side, it's a very new pool. It's probably only been open for about 18 months, 2 years, something like that. And basically on this hand side, you've got quite a lot of sort of low marginal vegetation, but nothing too high. So basically, and obviously that ties on to why I'm fishing a cog setup, is because just down here in this margin there's been quite a few fish sort of milling around, you know, a couple of bubbles and everything. Obviously that ties in with the cog system, because what I've been doing is I've been walking around, as you can see, dropping the rig in place so I can actually feel it perfectly on the bottom, and what I'm doing is I'm walking my line all the way back round, keeping it fairly tight to obviously make sure that the trajectory of the line's quite well, quite good, and obviously just tightening up by the time I get back round. So obviously line lays fine, I know that it's sat absolutely perfect every time. Like I say, I'm not putting too much bait in, but I'm just putting a mesh bag on so I know that it lands absolutely perfectly. So yeah, basically that's all I'm going to do now. So obviously I've just taught you through the rig, taught you through the setup, obviously the cog setup, now you know why I'm fishing it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lower it into position and then walk it back round there, and then yeah, get the rod set. Hopefully we can have another one. So yeah, let's blabber and let's do it. Donk, that is deep. So what I'm doing there is just coming around here, as you can see, keeping it fairly tight, and then letting a bit more off and walking it back down.
So this is wood pole here at Wainstones Fishery. There's actually two poles here. We've got the larger main Wainstones pole and the smaller wood pole. This pole's only half an acre in size. There's around 80 carp in here. And you would think with that stock of fish, it would be absolute bobbins, run after run, double takes. It's not like that at all. That's how I wanted it to be, but it's not proven to be the case. I think it's typical small water where the fish quickly know when they're being fished for, and they're very quick to react to angling pressure. Once a few leads have gone in, or once there's like bowstring tight lines going across the pole, them fish very quickly just shut off. It's not that they become tricky to catch, they literally just switch off. They just stop feeding. There's no one fishing the pole on Sunday nights and Thursday nights, and it's almost like they know they're going to have a break from angling pressure, and they just switch on when all the lines are out of the water. So what I would say for anyone coming to fish here is just have just think about your tactics and where you're going to be fishing and the disturbance to the swim. I think a lot of people, they rock up, get the bivvy mallets out, they're malleting away, they're casting all over trying to find spots. It's pretty clear out there. Or they'll fish from this bank where we are over towards the top bay there, which is a great fish holding area. But once you've got line going right through the lake, like two laser beams going over there, the fish just don't like it. They just switch off. One bit of advice I would give would be to have nice slack lines, light bobbins, use back leads. Washing line rig is a deadly tactic on here. There's lots of these sedge grasses all around the margins, which kind of overhang, and the fish get right underneath where all those grasses are overhanging, right underneath the bank. And the best way to target them fish is with a washing line rig. That's where you cast over on the far bank, place a storm pole with a bobbin, cast on the far bank, walk around, pick up your rig, lower it in by hand, clip it in the bobbin. That way all your line going towards the rig is above the water. You've just got a little bit of slack line going down to where the rig is itself. That's been a deadly tactic on here. Or pre-bait a few spots. That top corner, they love it up there. It's only about 3 foot deep. They spend a lot of time over there and pre-baiting a few spots and then just walking around with one rod and just a little underarm with a little mesh PVA bag. That's a great tactic. Again, it means you can reduce the amount of line going towards the rig. You only just like a little underarm swing out and just have it nice and slack, and that's the best way to target them fish. So how both the pools operate, it is exclusive bookings. The main pool is for 4 people and wood pool is just for 2 people at a time. And we do a weekend booking, which is from Friday morning to Sunday evening. And we do a midweek, which is Monday morning to Thursday evening. So that means that Sunday nights and Thursday nights, there's no one fishing. The fish get a bit of a break. So yeah, for anyone wanting to book on, best way is to drop myself a message over on my own personal Instagram page or on Wainstones Pools Instagram page. Drop me a message on there and we can fire some dates at you and hopefully see you down here.
Good afternoon. This came completely out of the blue, totally unexpected. I mean, as you can see from our surroundings, we are baking. I mean, completely and utterly baking. And we'd given up all hope of catching one this afternoon, and we were just waiting for darkness and a bit of a cooler temperature. And this little beauty ramped off, and he gave me a right good fight too. 20 pounds on the nose. More than happy. And if we can get a few more, even though it's not expected, it'll be even better. So look at that. Isn't that a beauty? There you go.
Right, well I hope you can hear me over the generator. So as promised, pretty much today the sun has been absolutely relentless. It was probably 26 degrees at the sort of peak of the day. The fish were all basking in the sun. It's been absolutely, well, it's been really difficult in terms of, trying to catch the fish because they've just not been interested in the bait. So I've been keeping the bait going in sort of quite regularly, just with, a couple of handfuls every hour and a half, 2 hours, just in the hope that obviously when the weather cools down, which it has done now, that, for this evening they might sort of get their heads down and put a feed in. But yeah, apart from that, it has been incredibly difficult. The best of the action in terms of feeding for me really was just feeding a little rat that kept coming next to me. So yeah, obviously as promised, I just talked through my sort of left-hand rod as it is, the sort of the lead arrangement that I'm fishing in the spot and everything like I promised, because the light conditions as well haven't really been favourable to any filming, to be honest, today. So I do apologise that it's sort of a little bit behind. So yeah, basically, on this particular rod, I've got this set up on a heli system, again, as I mentioned earlier, on my right hand rod, because obviously the rules stipulate you have to use tubing. I'm using one of the Corda heli, the sort of, what they're called. The reason for that is because I've never been to Wainstones before, I've never been to Wood Pool before, I didn't know anything about the bottom, the substrate and nothing. There's not really that much information online, hence why I'm trying to do this video for you guys. And yeah, basically I didn't know, so obviously when it's sort of unfamiliar territory, I do like fishing helicopter style. It means you can cast it over any bottom. As it turns out, the spot that I'm fishing on is actually quite hard, it's quite firm, it's not gravel, and obviously the lake is quite new, so you wouldn't actually expect sort of much weed really, or sort of much silt or debris anyway. And that is obviously what we found. So basically upon arrival, there's a couple of fish milling around in the middle of the pool, literally smack bang in the middle, which, it's not very far out. I'd probably say it's 30 yards, probably tops 40 yards, something like that. And because they were milling around, obviously decided to catapult a few pellets just onto their head. And obviously nothing sort of happened, although I did have that tiny sort of £3, £4, I didn't weigh it, but I'm just guessing it was around that size. Nice fully scaled, it's a really nice fish, but yeah, that materialised from the spot, that obviously this spot as well. In terms of the rig, you've seen it 1,000 times, you've seen it earlier in this video, but like I said, you've seen it over and over on my channel, and that's my fluorocarbon D rig. Like I said, I just absolutely love it, I love everything about it. The quick and easy time it takes to tie it, I guess. There's sort of very little components that you need, the mechanics of it as well, more important than anything, but everything about it just ticks all the boxes. So yeah, it catches me fish no matter where I've been. I've caught on this session as well. So yeah, even though it's on a helicopter setup, I know that it's quite a clean bottom, so when I know it's a clean bottom, that's what's going out there. And in terms of the hook bait choice, I'm still fishing it, although it's quite sort of, they're sort of not the height of summer yet, but we're getting there. Basically I'm filling manila boilies still, because I just had a little bit left over from the sort of spring, and I'm filling manila boilies along with the pellets as well. So I've obviously just decided to match that in the middle with a manila wafter and a dumbbell. There's no glug on it, no sort of pre-made liquid or anything like that. Just straight out the tub, straight on there, because I don't want anything to interfere with it. Like the boilers that I'm using are straight out of the pack. I'm using some active ones as well, but because they're straight out of the pack, I don't want this to be any different. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's going to go out there tonight, and like I said, that's going smack bang in the middle of the lake. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this wrapped up around the sticks, and yeah, we're going to get it out there for tonight, and hopefully we can bag ourselves a carp. Jesus, that is deep. It don't look carpy, does it? Yeah, you got to look carpy, haven't you? So we're heading into that time of evening now where the sun's just setting behind us. We've had the last of the light. We've probably got about half an hour before we lose the light completely, to be honest. So on this particular water, what we found already is that the fish tend to put on a bit of a display around this time of evening. The aerator's kind of been put on as well. So like I said, obviously if you've not already seen that, you know, today has been absolutely scorching. Honestly, it just felt like 300 degrees. It was so hot. So obviously the aerator's been on today, and obviously as that's been on sort of into this early evening, I guess, the fish have been sort of doing a lot more sort of showing and displaying and things. So yeah, whether that sort of pushed them around a little bit, I'm not too sure. But yeah, they've obviously started to put it on now. So yeah, the rods have gone back out. I'm really happy with where they've gone. My left rod's gone to the middle again on that fluorocarbon D rig, and obviously the same rig again on the right rod, and that's obviously gone to the margin. So yeah, I'm very confident in the spots, to be honest. You know, I felt the lead down on both of them. There's a gravel spot to the left, so it's firm, really firm clay, to be honest. And the right rod obviously the same again, where I've actually felt it down. So I can't be more confident. I feel like I've angled really well. The conditions really haven't been in our favour. Obviously we've been restricted in terms of that we're not allowed to fish on zigs, or we're not allowed to fish on the surface. And a lot of the fish have been on the top, in the upper layers, and unfortunately that's just the way it is. So yeah, conditions haven't been favourable, but can be really proud of our efforts, and we've still got a night to go as well. And like I've just mentioned, I know from my dad as well, I think we're both really confident there's a chance of another fish yet. So like I said, there's a few fish now still sort of showing a bit more, sort of a bit further than where we are, to be honest, but hopefully we've put enough bait out through the day where they obviously that might entice them in. So yeah, obviously if anything happens, as usual, we'll let you know through the night, because again, you're not allowed to sack fish up here, so obviously it's worth knowing that. So I will see you through the night if there's any action. If not, we will see you bright and early in the morning. Right, well, as promised, if anything happens through the night, I would let you know. And obviously, there we go. So this rod fell to that short in margin rod on the right hand side. It's very early on in the night as well. It's probably only about 1 o'clock, so it's not too late. I think she's just tipped the scales at, I think, 17 pounds and a couple of ounces. It's a beautiful fish. Oh, nice bosh there. Some really nice set of shoulders on her as well, so she's going to be a potential fit, you know, a big fish. So imagine this at like, you know, 25-30 pounds. It's going to be one hell of a carp. But even now, still, you know, that takes nothing away from it now, because it's absolutely stunning. Some massive apple slice scales on this side as well. I don't really know which one is the best one to show up for the camera, to be honest. They're both equally as pretty. So yeah, even though it's 1 o'clock in the morning, tensing up. Even though it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I feel absolutely privileged that I've managed to catch a carp like this. So yeah, let's get her back because it is still quite warm. So yeah, let's get her back to the water, and we'll see if we can get that rod back out. Well, we woke up this morning, and I have to say that between myself and my dad, we were super confident of a bite or two last night. A little bit of an anticlimax, obviously I did manage a really nice scaly one through the night, which obviously you've seen. But in terms of, you know, that was quite early on in the night, probably 1 o'clock, 1:30. And we were both really confident that even by the time I'd got my rod back out, that we'd probably have another fish between us at least through the night. But unfortunately, we've woke up this morning and the conditions are probably less favourable than yesterday. And the reason for that is, where we are now, there's a sort of nice set of pine trees behind us, which is giving us a little bit of respite, if you like, from the sun. If you look at the pool this morning, the sun's straight out, there's not a single cloud in the sky. In terms of conditions for fishing, it's looking like another day where the conditions are going to be against us. So I think what the plan is today, to be honest, is we'll probably sort of get the rods back out now. It's about 8:30, so we'll chuck the rods back out. We'll probably get some breakfast and have a gentle pat down, because although we are still in the north, and the proper north as well, we do still have quite a couple of hour drive home for us. So yeah, we're probably not going to stick around for forever, because like I said, we haven't been catching consistently through the days. Where I think had that have been the case, we probably would have tried to get another fish or two. But yeah, what we'll do, like I said, we'll get the rods back out for this morning. hope that maybe we can capitalise on the next sort of hour or so, maybe 2 hours at best, of where the sun's not going to be too high in the sky, which obviously will just knock all the fish up to the upper layers. So yeah, what we're probably going to do is do that, get some brecco. We'll keep you guys informed, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch you guys later on.
I haven't a clue what time it is, but I was rudely awakened with the left-hand rod over to the corner over there near the aerator, and this little beauty got me from my bed. Most welcome.
Well, first off, I really hope that you can hear this, because obviously when you self-film it, it's difficult to actually tell what the audio is like, because I can't be behind the camera as well. But hopefully you can hear me over the aerator behind me. I just thought it'd be a really fitting way as well to sort of do this final piece, with the backdrop that I've got behind me, because we'll touch onto that in just a second. But the kit's packed away now. We sort of wrapped up our session on Wood Pool, and with the conditions and everything, I would probably snap your hand off to say we took 5 fish between us at the end of the sort of quick session that we've had. It's
been tricky conditions this weekend, so for the guys to catch, I've had 5 fish, I think now, 5 fish this session. It's been nearly 30 degrees down here, flat calm for the majority of the days. To get 5 fish, I think they've done pretty well.
I've had a really good time, and if I'm being totally honest with you, I really didn't think that I'd fall in love with this place as much as I have done, to be perfectly truthful. The guys who were on Wainstones pool itself actually left a couple of hours ago now, which meant the lake's empty, so obviously as we kicked them in the van, just before we sort of, ventured back on our journey home, we thought we'd have a quick mooch round, and I have to say, what a venue. Like, the only word is just wow. There's lily pads absolutely everywhere. There's sort of really nice mature willows. It is just a beautiful venue, and I guarantee you that you will see us fishing on that pool on this channel in the very near future, because for me personally, like you said, it's fairly small, it's intimate, it's got everything, it's got the overhangs, it's got islands, it's sort of really close quarter fishing. It just ticks all of the boxes, not to mention the fish that this pool has as well. Fair play to Mark, and I'm not just saying it because a lot of you guys know who he is, but he's really created something special here. It is an absolutely stunning venue, and one of the nicest ones I've probably ever seen for a long time. So obviously I hope that you've really enjoyed this video. What I would say, like I say in every other video, if you have enjoyed this video, obviously if you wouldn't mind pressing that like button, obviously subscribing to the channel as well, it really helps grow the channel. And more importantly, if you want to sort of get updates and everything when we release new videos, if you hit that bell icon, you'll be notified via email as and when we upload videos like this one. Plus we've got quite a few videos coming this year, hopefully. So yeah, like I said, there's quite a lot to look forward to in terms of Northern Carp Diaries and everything. So yeah, I just obviously want to put on record as well, obviously a big thank you to Mark. He didn't have to come onto the channel and say his piece as well, but he kindly did that for us. So I just want to say thanks, obviously, 1 for his hospitality, and 2 for sort of helping sort of do his piece in the video as well. So yeah, on that note, like I said, like, comment, subscribe. It'd be really interesting to see how you feel about sort of this venue. If you fished this venue before or whatever, obviously leave any feedback in the comments. We love interacting with all of you guys. So until next time, I'll sign out here, and hopefully see you back on the syndicate very soon.